Okay, I'm gonna be doing a short analysis of two different series. The first being 6 Feet Under, and the second one being The Cosby Show. So the first one I want to talk about is 6 Feet Under, which is a show that aired in 2001, which means that it's from the third golden age. 6 Feet Under is a show about this family, where in the beginning the husband of the family he dies and they have to live on without him, and they all kind of work together in this family owned funeral business. So already there we know that it's gonna have a lot of death and dead people in the show. And also from the beginning we know that these people are not as normal and innocent as they may look. For example, we are revealed that the woman and mother, she actually has an affair with her hairdresser. And the daughter, she takes a lot of drugs and she hangs out with a lot of sketchy people. So already there we know that they're not afraid of taboo subjects. And we also showed that this man, the son, he has sex with a stranger in the airport. Um, so it's not really an innocent, normal American little fairy family that we're working with, which we also know that they're working with death and dead people, and they do a lot of dirty stuff. But also in the beginning, where she's cooking dinner and things are fine and everything is good, there's a lot of complex camera angles, and a lot of them last like maybe 1 minute, where they're craning from the start of the living room and then all the way into the kitchen where she's working, and it gives the viewer a very good looking sense of the entire family, and they are all sitting there in the kitchen and everything, and it looks really pleasing and it works really well. Other than that is the symbolic and ironic scenes that are in the show. For example, we see in the beginning that she's talking on the phone with the husband who we see here, and he's on his way to pick up the son from the airport, and she knows that he's smoking, and she tells him that smoking will cause him a slow and painful death, and he doesn't really seem to care about it. And but even though he tells her, "Oh, but I'm not gonna do it again," and then he throws a cigarette out the window. But just as he hangs up, he takes another smoke and he lights it up, and in the second that it gets on fire, he gets hit by a bus, which is pretty ironic, and it's a very powerful scene. And other than that, there's stuff like the daughter's car. It has a skull on it, which pretty much symbols the death and stuff that maybe will happen to her. I mean, I don't know, but it could. It's but already from the title sequence that we see in the beginning, we already know that it's gonna have to have a lot of death in it. For example, in this little picture that I took from the title sequence, it's a scene of a cart with a dead person on it being rolled down a hall, and we see this really big light in the end, and a person standing there, which kind of looks like he's going into the light. And yeah, he could be dying. He could be the person on here, um, which is a really cool scene, actually. It's definitely really powerful. So to conclude, 6 Feet Under is a very complex show which has a lot of different storylines going on at the same time, where they all have different problems that all needs special care to be taken care of, which brings us to the next show. Okay, so the second show that I want to talk about is The Cosby Show, which is a show from 1984, which means it's from the second golden age. So The Cosby Show is a show about this family right here, where we have Bill Cosby, the husband, his wife, and their 4 children. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the Hays Code. This show, as expected from the second golden age, follows the Hays Code really, really well. In the episode that I watched, he comes home to find that his daughter's goldfish has died, and this causes a problem because he doesn't really know how to tell her, and he believes that she'll probably go crazy or be sad or anything. And nothing at all goes wrong in the way that it could ruin the family, or there could go in a fight, or this little girl which just lost her goldfish, she doesn't go crazy, she doesn't throw any tantrums or yell or scream or anything, all while this is a big problem for the family. They all solve it, and no one is swearing or throwing the things at each other, and it's all very neat. And even though, I mean, at the time, where it might have been inappropriate to have a show about a black family, they have a really, really nice house. I mean, the mother is a successful lawyer, and he works at a hospital, which means he's maybe a doctor, and they have all these fancy things in their big house, and they have lots of children who all are doing very well that we know of. And for the time that it aired, that it's very, very different, which also kind of I'm sorry, broke the stereotype that black people can't be successful or do the things that white people did at the time. So it was kind of a groundbreaking TV show for its time, because it broke all these stereotypes about black people that they can't do these things. And for the time, there were only shows about mostly white people and their successful things. And that also kind of got into the Hays Code, because it says you can't be racist to white people. But in this show, there could be grounds for making white people jokes. So, in that way, it's kind of controversial. But all the while, it's a very nice sitcom that follows all the rules either way. And then I would like to talk about the sitcom code, which it follows very, very well. So, as all the other classic sitcoms, The Cosby Show follows the sitcom rule pretty well. So we start off with the teaser, which lasts from about the first minute to the third. And in this case, it's where Bill, he arrives home, he's exhausted, and he just wants to sleep. But his daughter comes and she's like, I have some pretty important things to tell you. And they have a pretty fun little talk, and we want to know what exactly is the problem here. So we found out that the trouble is the daughter lost her goldfish, but she doesn't know that it's dead. So Bill has a little conflict because he has to tell the daughter Rudy that her fish has died. He thinks this is kind of a problem because he believes that Rudy loves her fish pretty much. So there's kind of a problem, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to tell her. And in the model, Bill and his daughter, they're talking together and they're trying to get Rudy to understand that the fish is actually dead and it's not just sleeping or whatever she might be believing, because she doesn't really seem to understand that the fish has actually died and it won't come back. And as they try to make her understand and maybe to stop her from being sad, he wants to hold a funeral for the fish to maybe make her less sad, which happens in the Triumph, which is from the minutes 13 to 18, where he kind of forces all the other children to dress up and get in their finest clothes and hair just for Rudy so that she can have this funeral for her fish. And they all kind of believes it's pretty silly that they're holding this funeral for the fish. But Billy believes, or Bill, sorry, he believes that this is the right thing to do because he doesn't want Rudy to be sad. And then the kicker comes and Rudy disrupts the funeral to tell Bill that she wants to go watch television and that she doesn't really care about the goldfish and she doesn't want to be at the funeral because she just wants to relax and watch some TV alone. So so as we can see here, it follows the sitcom code pretty religiously, which makes it somehow just another classical sitcom. And if we look at it versus 6 Feet Under, that's what I would call the American Dream versus A Broken Family, because in both of these series, the center of the story is the husband, which is supposed to be the rock and support, the financial support for everyone. And just as in the Cosby Show, we have this hilarious dad who's doing really well in supporting his family. It's a funny story, and it's pretty much the American dream to have this perfect family who all support each other and they're just having fun and doing what they can. And then we have this more complicated story of a not so perfect dad and his not so perfect family who will have to do just without him. And even if they can, how will they hold up with the things that he used to do, for example, if in their funeral service? And yeah, so that was my analysis of the two American TV series and just a bit about how they are in comparison to each other.